Well, the next stage is in the biped recipe. We're going to actually do some anatomy now. We have good edge loop flow for the torso and the limbs. We're going to go into some of the detailed areas that can slow you up, which include the hands and the skull and the rib cage, in particular the armpit area and the crotch area. So if you unzipped the human image plane, open up the folder, and after you've unzipped it, go to source images, and you'll see a series of images that I've prepared for you. So some of the most common things to look out for include the breast angle, which should be out roughly 45 degrees around the barrel shape of the chest, the ulnar radiosity for the forearm twist, and I like to put mine right at the neutral pose in the middle so that you can rotate it 90 degrees forward and backwards. So understanding how the elbow works, where to put the joint for the elbow. And I provided a female image here that shows the forearm twist, hand palms forward, T-pose, the lift distance, or at least a little bit. I think it's even more than that. When you lift your arms up into T-pose, you'll have the scapula and the shoulder blades lifting quite a bit, at least 2 to 3 inches, lifting the shoulders up. So when you model in T-pose, it's kind of rough having the arms up unnaturally like that, and then how the arm looks when it's down. The head heights here for going from the feet to the knee to the groin, and then again from the arm down, usually back behind the wrist a bit. The palms typically from the chin to the hairline. And the foot, when you bring the feet in closer, it does change the height difference. So just understanding that and having a female to help along with the male. This was the palm, understanding the angle at the wrist and the angle going backwards for the knuckles. We'll look at the hand in detail, especially also the side view. A little écorché doodle, again, the female form with some maybe exaggerated hypertrophy muscle that you would see typically in an athlete, and an overlay for you. And we have a image plane that has both the forward and backwards sliced together. So you just have a single image, and you can work on one half of your model that has the other half with symmetry mode or duplicate special with an instance and another T-pose. Some of the major flow lines for the large muscle groups, like where you might sculpt in some of the detail around some of the bony protrusions as well. And this grade one, this was sized for Sculptress back in the day before Pixelogic purchased Sculptress and then killed it. We used it quite a bit, and it had a bit of a weird background image. It had to be a very specific size so it wouldn't distort. And so, of course, now you have Sculpt GL and Nomad Sculpt, which I'm a big fan of. And here's the rib cage, understanding where the sternum is, where the bottom of the rib cage is, how much wider it is towards the bottom and in the middle than it is towards the top, how much it comes in for the clavicle, and the skull. So these images are not yet loaded into the biped recipe project. Here is the basic shapes for the cranium, which will also be helpful, that include the lower jaw, the tooth row, the horseshoe shape, or the U shape of the mandible to really get the lips curved around there, and where the thickest part of the cranium is. Typically, it's the eminences here and the mastoid process down here, where the bottom of the ear, and the S curve of the spine. This is all like really good fundamental stuff. So let's take a look. When you open up the file, you may need to reconnect the image planes. So go File, Set Project, set the project once more to the correct folder. So here's Human Image Plane, set it. And then go ahead and reopen the file again too. So I'm going to go ahead and save what I did here. And just go File, Open Scene. And I've put an iterative save on here. I've been working in this a little bit already. So just hit OK on the student version. There we go. And so we have a couple planes here. The main ones are the side view and the front view. And they're down here in the channel box layer. So again, the attribute editor is right up here. Attribute editor, show height attribute editor. You have the modeling toolkit, which is the first one right here. You can go ahead and move these around as needed. There's the attribute editor. There's a channel box layer. Over on the left side, I have the outliner, the tool settings, and human IK, which is this one right here. So these are your 5 main interface panels that you want to have open. And then just to reiterate which mode you're in: modeling, rigging, animation, FX, rendering, and customize. The outliner's right down here. You can hide and show the outliner. Sometimes people move it around on a separate monitor if they have a really giant scene they're working on. The image planes themselves, I already have them reduced down on the alpha on this. So if you click on the image plane, go to its attribute, and go to the image plane panel that has the attributes for the alpha gain. You see right here the color gain is a little bright. And so adjust this as needed. I usually turn the gain down, and then also at the alpha, this can go up or down. So if it's fully on like that and you have the gain up, it gets really bright. And while you're working, if I go to the channel box and I show the model here, even if I have it on X-ray mode, you see it's a bit obnoxious how bright that is. At least for my old eyes, it is. So going back in here and turning down the gain like so you can really, if you still want to see the lines well, and then turning down the alpha, which is the transparency for how much you want it to. Oops, I'm on the wrong one now. Oh, no, it's the right one. So that will give you a lot of freedom to adjust your image planes as needed. Same thing here on the side view image plane. So just go to the attribute editor. Here's the details. Here's the side shape. And here's a detail there. So we'll go through those nodes in a little bit more detail. But this should be good enough to get you comfortable. Just go to File, Import, go to the Settings box, and you can import your biped from another Maya file. So you can just import your biped right into here. So right now I have one that I was working on a little bit. And so bring your file into this project, and you can start making adjustments to the image plane with some accurate anatomy. I don't really like how close the arms are to the sides. I really don't like how close the legs are together, but this is an anatomy study. It was not designed as an image plane originally, but it's such a good image in terms of the front and back being accurate in the detail. And it really aligns perfectly with the side view. So you got the skull touching just right there where the bottom of the chin is, right in here in the side view. Matches up with the front. So it's really an accurate drawing. It's hard to find actually really good accurate drawings from art books. A lot of them, they might look like good pictures, but a lot of time they're not all that accuracy unless you're like in the Goldfinger book or the Schlesinger book. Here's the bony protrusion. So you see the front of the pelvic girdle here, the back that goes around to the gluteus medius, gluteus maximus, the back of the elbow, the clavicle and the scapula, the kneecap, and it shows the overlap. So you can see the angle here. The outer calf is higher, the lower calf's lower. And you're going to learn that, the inside of the thigh goes down lower, the outside of the thigh is up higher. Everything's at an angle. There's no straight lines anywhere on this form other than the artificial vertical key line that you've created that goes right over here. So let's bring in the biped and go ahead and move it to this image plane.